What's up, YouTube? It's Josh again. Um, as promised, I was going to bring out one of my other snakes today. So, this is Reggie. Um, he's a normal phase ball python. If you go to Petco, buy something at a reptile show, this is probably the most common one you'll see. This is what they normally look like if you took one out of the wild. Um, I've had him for since January of this past year. He's the very first one I've ever owned. Never owned a ball python before. Never really owned a snake before. I remember catching a few when I was a kid, but you don't really keep those. You could just kind of play with them for a little while and let them go. Um, his name's Reggie. I named him after one of my favorite artists, Reggie Watts. That's Watts, Watts, who you should check out. I think he's highly underrated. I mean, you may have seen Reggie Watts on some other stuff, like he was on Conan and he had a special put on Comedy Central. That's how I first was introduced to him. And he's weird. He's a beatbox artist. Just check him out. There's a bunch of videos on YouTube. Um, This is about average for a ball python. They don't get huge. They max out usually at 3 to 5 feet, depending on sex. I believe he's a male. That's what I was told about him. I haven't personally checked, but males tend to be 3 to 4 feet, and females tend to be 4 to 5 feet. But there are records of reaching up to 6 feet. Um, as much as he's moving right now is, I consider it pretty active. He's usually pretty tame and he doesn't bite. I've never actually been bitten by him. Um, very good. They are a very good choice for a first snake. These guys and I think corn snakes. But I like that he's not super active compared to other breeds of snakes. And I've had him since January of this past year. I was looking through ads on Craigslist and came across him, and he was cheap. He was like $50, and he was already. I'm not sure what to think. He's grown considerably, even though he's an adult. You know, I was told he's about 3 years old, but since I've had him and not even a full year yet, he's grown definitely in girth. He wasn't this thick before. Um, and length as well. He's grown a good 10, 11 inches since I've had him. So I think either the guy didn't tell me the truth or wasn't sure or something, or maybe I just feed him way more. He eats once a week. Usually 2 to 3 small to mid-sized rats. It really depends on how my other snakes eat. He is definitely my best eater. He eats pretty much under any condition. He eats when he's in shed. He eats what the others I have don't want to eat. He doesn't care. When there's food, he'll eat, which is one of the things I love about him because I don't waste rodents as much with him around. Um, so, yeah, you guys, this is Reggie. Uh, you see, he doesn't mind if I pet his head or anything. Um, as with all snakes, you don't really want to be doing quick movements. You don't want to grab their head or anything. You can sort of pet it if you're slow and gentle about it. Um, but yeah, they make a awesome first pet. These guys and I would say corn snakes are probably your best bet if you're first getting into snakes because they don't get too huge and for the most part they're very docile. I personally, even though I have a corn snake as well, I prefer ball pythons. One, I like that they get a little bigger but not monstrous like the reticulated or Burmese or anacondas. Um, and they're a much slower snake, so I don't really have to worry about them as much. That little corn snake, he's great that I have, but he's definitely much more active. So, I gotta be a little more careful that I don't like lose focus because sometimes he kind of tries to dart away. That's just how they are. But yeah. So these guys are great. Now, the first part I'm done. I said I would introduce one of my other snakes, and the second thing that I wanted to talk about to start getting into the whole religious thing. Um, I want to talk about why I think people believe in religions. Because, I mean, a lot of people just say that they're stupid. And I think ignorance is part of it. But I don't think that's the only factor by any, I definitely don't believe that. That would just be idiotic on my part to believe something like that. Um, but I think it's important for us as atheists and the ones trying to turn them to the dark side, if you will, uh, to understand them a little bit and why they believe. And so I wrote a list here. I got about 12 or 13 of them here. Um, and the first reason I put is for family reasons. Like people are raised into different religions because their family was raised in it, or before they were born they converted to that, so they decided to raise their children that way. um, I, I think that's a very big reason of why people believe in any religion. You trust your parents pretty much automatically, unless obviously there are other circumstances that can make you view them otherwise, maybe abuse or something. But I can see why people wouldn't want to stray from the faith if that's one of the things that keeps their family bound together. They don't want to be excluded and ostracized from their family. And I think we on the non-belief side should respect that and try to, just be understanding of that as one of the potential reasons. Um, Another reason I find is that there is an overwhelming feeling of acceptance once you get into any said religion. Um, People, they actively go out and seek people to join their faith, and once you get accepted, they're their own support system. They wanna they wanna help you. They wanna they that feeling of acceptance feels good to people. Even someone who's somewhat antisocial like me, I like being accepted by my friends and family and stuff like that. I think another big reason is fear. Fear of life and the afterlife. People, they they fear that what's going to happen to them depending on how they live their life, and then what's going to happen in the afterlife, because you can't really know for sure what's going to happen. So it's another big reason. Some people just want a clear purpose in life. Religion gives you, that purpose. God especially created you and everyone around you, and they see religion as a way to give them a motivation to keep living, a purpose. They're not just some accidental existence, which I think I don't know, I don't want to say, I mean, everything sort of happened by chance, depending on who your family is and what your circumstances are. But I'll probably explain that a little more in another video at some point. Religion is sort of cut and dry, if you're fundamentalist. So it gives you sort of yes no answers to moral questions. I think that's another big reason people gravitate and cling to religion. It gives you black and white morals. Um, Also, I think humans are constantly striving to want to know how they came into existence. And it's a tough idea to wrestle with, the idea that we came from nothing. But I, I don't think God explains that. I think that's kind of idiotic. It's like, well, why is it okay that God just existed and, you know, um, brought everything else into existence, but then how do you explain God? He just always was? Why not just let the universe be always was? That doesn't make any sense to me. I think that's a kind of an idiotic argument, but I can see how that would comfort some people. Um, I think this may seem a little mean, but I think some people are just delusional. They uh, their delusions give them comfort. I think another reason they want to believe in God or gods and afterlives and stuff like that is they want explanations for why bad things happen. It's hard to just accept that tsunamis come through and wipe out whole villages or countries, or earthquakes devastate areas, and man-made and natural disasters. They want there to be an explanation like, well, it's God's will, and His purpose should prevail, and they don't want to just accept that bad things happen. We live on a planet with a molten core, so we have things like earthquakes and stuff. We have various weather issues. Different climates cause these things to happen. Uh, they don't want to just they don't want it to be random. They want a reason to why something like that could possibly happen, and they think maybe a divine answer is the best answer. Um, Another is, at least when now I'm talking a little more about the leaders of these religions when I bring this next part up, or people who start religions. Profit. Some are strictly in it for the money, and others feel like maybe it's a sign from God that He favors them and their mission, and that's why they're so prosperous in their mission to spread the word. You know what I'm saying? Um, I think another reason I wrote down was I think religious people deceive other people into believing. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into this, but this sort of happened to me. I've never been much of a believer, and not because I just thought all religion was stupid or anything like that. Like, I feel that way now as an adult, but as a child, I just really wasn't brought up in a religious setting. Um, I remember my grandparents, great grandparents being pretty religious. So, like, if we went to Easter or, any sort of family get together at their place, they were pretty religious. So we always had to pray at meals and stuff like that, be thankful. But other than that, my family never practiced that. Um, and when I got older, my teen years, and remember, I never really studied religion until after I started to get into it. Um, I had a friend from my school bring me to like a youth group thing, and slowly over like a year or so, I got really into it, started believing in it. They were a Southern Baptist church, and they would. I don't think they were deliberately being dishonest to me, but one of the main things that got me into it is Ken Hovind. He was a Christian evangelist. He pretended like he actually had answers. Um, he would tell a lot of half truths or straight up lies about science and how the Bible supports it. Um, Luckily, he's in jail now. I get a kick out of that every time I think of it, because he made me so mad when I found out about how much he was lying or telling half truths about scientific facts and stuff. Um, but anyway, so that's why I put that one on the list. I think religious people deceive others into believing. I think another reason people believe is as a way to justify behaviors such as racism, slavery, discrimination, things like that. Um, and just as an example from the Bible, slavery is mentioned a whole bunch of times, but just as a few examples, I wrote down in Genesis 9:25 to 27 is a popular verse they pick out, and a few other examples. Leviticus 25, 40 verses 44 to 46. Ephesians 6:5. Peter 2:18. Deuteronomy 15. Verses 12 to 18. Those are all verses that talk about slavery, and that's how slavery in our country, the beginnings of our country, was justified, was through a book like the Bible. Um, Also, I think ignorance of whatever holy book you ascribe to. I think ignorance of the book's actual contents. Um, like I said, a lot of people, especially nowadays, don't know about all those verses about slavery in the Bible and how it was used to justify things like slavery. They only hear about how God loved them and sacrificed his only son, things like that. That would be another good reason why people are driven to belief. And finally, I put down a need to feel special in this universe. People, I'm not saying we're not special in terms, like, I don't know if I can explain this properly. Um, I think we are special, and now that I don't believe in any sort of God, I think we're more special. Like, if any little thing changed in the course of our evolution, none of us would be here. If it was slightly hotter for a while and our species died out, none of us would be here. If you recreated the same conditions, there is like almost no chance that we would come back again. Exactly as humans most likely would not develop again. Maybe another species gets the upper hand. Um, and we live on such a insignificant little planet in this vast, vast universe. If you actually look into things like astronomy and stuff, and see just how small we are in this vast universe, it's mind-boggling. There are billions of galaxies, stars. They're finding other planets. I'm not saying any of them have life on it. I think it's possible, but I can't possibly know that until we get out there. But I think that makes us infinitely more special and rare in this universe than just saying God decided to poop, just pop us into being. That means, like, if those conditions were recreated, that doesn't really make us that special. It would keep happening if you believe that a God did it. You can just repeat the process. But, with the idea of like evolution and stuff, we would never come back again. I think we are a special species. We can never be recreated. There will never be a Josh exactly like me, or Alec exactly like him. We are all different, and You know, with no God, you can never be exactly recreated, even if you cloned yourself somehow. You know, that person wouldn't have exactly your experiences. I mean, he may be genetically identical to you, but, you know, it will never be. I can't clone myself and he's an exact version of me in every respect in terms of how, you know, all my experiences and everything like that. So, I guess that's it for my list. Uh, I felt it was important to do this video before I really start to try to rip into anybody. And I just wanted people, I wanted the religious out there to understand that I understand why you believe. I still think it's wrong because I got a little more of a, one, I'm probably more skeptical than a lot of religious people. But also, I believe in truth. I don't think it's true, so why waste your time believing in it? You know, that's one of the things I liked about the Baptist church when I first got there was because they took a more fundamentalist and real, I don't want to say look, but they took it as truth. And I feel like if you accept or believe in any philosophy or anything, you should be able to take it on full face value. You should be able to believe it entirely. You know, the Bible's supposed to be the Word of God. All of it should be trusted. None of it should be contradictory. This is God we're talking about. So the fact that that can't really be done is one of the reasons I fell from it, why I don't believe in it anymore. And I hope people start to look at it this way. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm gonna go now. It'll probably be about another week or so before I make another video. I tend to do them on my weekends, and I'm about to go to work tomorrow, so I'll be busy for the next few days. Next video, I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about. I'll think about it, but I'll definitely bring on my next guy, my next snake. You guys will get to meet him. Not nearly as big. He's, besides my corn snake, he's my smallest. But he was the second one I got, so that's why I'm going to bring him on next. So hopefully you guys will watch next week, and have a good one.